Hi! So, if you're new to the channel, after I undertake a bigger project like the video before this one, I always like to make a shorter video to unwind. If you are waiting for content similar to the one I posted before, don't worry, if it all goes to plan, it's coming, but I'm really excited about this one, so let's get right into it. Pictures of a Reasonably Documented Year was a game created for the Free Knowledge Game Jam, which does not have any information on it available anymore, probably because it's been 10 years since it even existed, but it won the first prize, so yay. I found out about this game in 2015 when I watched Brazilian YouTuber and streamer Alan Zoca play it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find his video anymore, which, considering the subject of the game, is kinda creepy, but I remember coming back from school and watching it to this day because this game is still one of the most effective indie horror experiences I've ever seen, which is saying something considering, and as the years passed, it never left my mind. I was actually shocked when I found out Alan was basically the only famous YouTuber who ever played it, and I waited for it, for years, for people to finally find out this one existed. Considering it didn't happen, here I am. The description on the itch.io page simply reads, "You found the computer, what happened to the owner?" It also says that all the footage used is from the Prelinger Archives, and yes, this game is the reason why I know the Prelinger Archive exists, so I do owe it my immortal soul for its service to my life. The game itself is basically a horror game in which you play detective with a computer that is filled with videos and files. Through the files, we are supposed to uncover not only what happened to the owner, but also why people around their hometown are acting in more and more dysfunctional ways. This is also my time to say that if you are interested in playing this, pause the video and go play it yourself because it's free, and even my deadbeat 2011 Dell laptop could run this with a broken screen and 6 GB of RAM, so it will probably run for you. Without further ado, let's take a look at it and why I think it is truly a hidden masterpiece in the indie horror genre. I didn't record my face for this video, but trust me, I am the one playing it because no one else even knows what this game is. So, when we begin, we are taken to a possibly Windows 95-esque computer screen with folders that are named after each month, though some of them have access, meaning that even if you click on those, the folders are locked. First, you click on January, obviously, and there are already a few things to explore, the first being a video called Ben Johnson, which depicts a 1950s family and a baby, which is presumably Ben Johnson. At this point, yes, the game is entirely silent. You watch the video sensing that eerie feeling that old footage sometimes gives, if you have that, but I don't because I'm a real man, before going over the other files. In Thoughts, you find out that the town library has burned down and people have died, but no one seems to remember, and the still nameless main character attributes that to mass denial. In Application, we find out his name, Alexander Leibovich, and he seems to be looking for a job. In Twins.pic, you see this. Next, there's a picture of the burning library which smokes through the air. In Meredith, we see a woman, presumably the file's namesake, getting fitted for a wedding dress. We learn that the Johnsons, Alex's neighbors, moved to this neighborhood before the library fire. They seem to have 2 kids, but Alex thought it was only one, like we saw in Twins.pic. In the video Denial, we seem to be watching some form of a gathering, or the town moving on merrily despite the people who died and the library being gone. In his first letter to M, Alex writes, "My love, since the fire, I barely put my camera down. I don't really know how to explain it, but I feel like I owe this town something. Like I have a duty to those people. It's almost as if the fire burned through my lens into my mind. I remember every minute of it, the screams, the heat, the whole history of our city fading into non-existence right in front of me. I feel like it's my mission to document what's..." and it's cut. After that, we have yet another picture of a child, asking who that is. Going over to February, and it's pretty straightforward, nothing here. We then click on March, we find a street that seems to have been built out of nowhere. Alex filmed a bunch of new faces downtown. He then went to the Johnsons and met a mysterious man who thinks he knows him, but he has no idea who he is. A classic social situation. Alex then wonders if this is the mayor or an imposter. A less classic social situation. In another letter to M, who is presumably Meredith, Alex's bride, he writes, "My love, sometimes I feel like a stranger in this town, like I don't recognize the place. It's been 3 months since the fire, and people seem to have completely forgotten it. They wander around with smiles on their faces, smirking at me, while their kids utter screams of joy. It's almost indecent. I don't know. This town has changed." He then seems to be shocked that people would even want to move here after what happened to the library. Alex then seems to take pictures of 3 different guys who could all be the mayor. He isn't sure anymore. In April, Alex buys a dog and makes a list of names, including the Almighty, Schrodinger, and Boomer. At the end, they chose Cthulhu after the one who lies dreaming in his house a dark relay. The dog's very cute. Here I seem to forget what comes after April, even though it's my birth month. In May, we have a nifty little grocery list and a map of the town. It reminds me of Silent Hill a bit. In the video Getting Crazy, we see that people started burning things. In June, we glitch out again, and Alex finally writes down a timeline of what he thinks happened. Here's a second friendly reminder that if you like the game and want to play it, this is sort of where things start really happening, so I recommend getting to it. If you're still here, there will be spoilers from now on. Let's continue. The timeline is as follows. December 12th, library burns. December 21st, Meredith leaves. January 6th, Ben Johnson changes. January 18th, a new street appeared, as we've seen before. February 12th, new people are appearing everywhere downtown. March 5th, the mayor changes. Alex doesn't even recognize the Johnsons anymore. March 23rd, people are burning stuff. April 7th, I dream of fire every night. May 19th, so close, my birthday is on the 18th. A new house appears out of nowhere across the street. May 27th, Cthulhu is acting very weirdly, which makes sense considering he's an eldritch god. June 3rd, several new houses materialize across town. We see another map and things seem okay. Nothing changed on this front. In another letter to M, Alex writes, "My love, something is happening here. Something is very wrong. I don't know how to explain it without sounding crazy, but things are changing. I mean really changing. New buildings are appearing from one day to another, out of nowhere. And the people are changing too. I mean, they are the same, but like with a different face. I know I'm sounding nuts, but it's real. I think it has something to do with the fire. That day, I wasn't working, you know? The only day of the year I don't go to work and the library burns down. Why? Why am I still alive? What came out of this fire? Am I losing it? I need you." After this, we see two errors. The first one is this. The second one, this. Another day, another video, and it's blank. I wait a bit to make sure it is truly a blank video because I forgot, and then I jump to the next, the only one working this month. The Johnsons seem to have indeed changed a lot. They are numerous now, with just young Ben Johnson being the same, or the same as after the fire, the rest looking older than before. In July, we see an invoice for an alarm system, fire gloves, and a safe. In August, Alex's notes seem to further showcase his descent into madness. You can write possibility of a dreamlike alternate mind state and follow it up with, is the government involved, and be alright. It's okay. We've all been there. He's also wondering if he did not die at the library fire. He notes that there are no archives to document the past, so the town is falling apart. Through it all though, he always remembers to call George, and that's a real friend right there. Also, there is now a face that keeps glitching in and out of existence. Very reassuring. Next we see a picture of Alex, but by the caption he doesn't seem to remember being there, or maybe it's someone who only looks like him, and that was their change, or mutation. Could also be that Alex doesn't remember what he looks like, only having a faint idea. Maybe he has a fantasia too. Anyway, the next video seems to exemplify things going to hell pretty nicely. Here we have a good list of books. The Dancing Plague one seems particularly interesting because I love that one. And then another letter to beloved M, which reads, "I don't know what's happening to me, to this place. The town is twice as big as it was 2 weeks ago. It takes me almost 20 minutes to get to the city center. Am I the only one noticing this? Am I crazy? I feel observed. Since a few days I started covering my tracks. I'm afraid that someone might find out that I know what's happening. I'm burning all my notes and locking the folders on my computer. The worst thing is that sometimes I feel I'm protecting my files from myself. I'm afraid I will change too, and what will I do then? Who will I be? Do you think I'm paranoid? Where are you? I didn't hear from you in months." So, the town is huge now, growing and growing like widespread fire. In September, we simply have a video called Johnson's Mutation. I'm not gonna show the bulk of the video and the most effective image of the game, in my opinion, because I think the original video is of a rabbit that a dog killed, and this guy is just too happy showcasing it. Anyway, there is a fire, a dead rabbit, and a baby in the car. The Johnsons are all blonde now. In this, we also see the town celebrating in a parade to something. In October, we film everything around town to remember it. In Archival 1, we see a mix of black and white footage with various people seemingly living their lives peacefully. Archival 2 is a bunch of things being demolished and new constructions. The third map shows a bigger, changed town. In Note to Self, Alex writes, "Things are getting worse as we approach year end." In November, Here I'm sort of rushing, worried, because I know this game well and I know we have to go fast from now on. You see why. Hint, it's because the face is approaching. In Archive 15, we see ruins, fires, disarray, juxtaposed with shiny, happy people. I didn't watch the full thing because I knew it'd be over soon and I wanted to get to December so bad, but you get the vibe. We see a picture of someone who might be Alex, as he himself is now wondering if this is him. Through our brief look, it seems not, if the man from before wore glasses, but at the same time, who's to say? We don't know what Alex looks like, and neither does he now. In his last letter to M, Alex writes, "It's December soon. Almost a year since the fire. Almost a year since I last saw you. I came to the conclusion that you were nothing but a figment of my imagination, a force keeping me going. I understand everything now. I see people burning stuff, hysterical. I see them changing, horrible mutations looking for consistency. I understand now. This town lost its cohesion the day the library burned down. Without its history, there is nothing to hold the city together. This place needs someone to archive it, to document it in order to exist. That's my role. Things get a little better the more I belong. Almost a year since the fire. I don't know what's going to happen when the year is over. I don't know if I'll still be here to tell you about it. There's only one thing I'm certain. I'm going to film my town until the bitter end." Here the face gets closer and closer and the game closes. That being said, because I know how this game works and I've played it through like a bajillion times, I went back in, spearran it, and managed to get to December. In it, we find a file named Commemoration. It reads, "Dear Citizen, next Friday we will commemorate the lives of the loved ones we lost during the terrible fire at the library last year. We invite you to join us for a minute of silence and prayer. Your mayor." And that's it. That's the last file of the game. It closes again and we're left with a lot to unpack. First of all, I like to say that I think this game is one of those things that it's more to be experienced viscerally and played through organically rather than being understood logically. Cosmic horror in its entirety is like this. It's bigger than you, impossible to completely understand, and that's where the horror comes from. A library burns down and everyone goes insane. Without our past to teach us, things may as well be mutated or burned to ashes. The game's description reads that we found this computer and we need to find out what happened to the owner, but how did we find it? Originally I thought that it was because we were Alex ourselves. And things keep glitching because remembering is painful. Like he said in his last letter to M, the more he belongs, the better things feel. If he just forgets as well, he'll be happy. He witnessed the fire, the people screaming, the burning, and he dreamt of it. The problem is that we see that all the files in his computer are personal, except for the last one. Unless Alex has become the mayor and that was his mutation, it is much more likely to think that the mayor, or whoever it is, killed Alex and left us a message saying that nothing has changed. When the screen cuts, we at the very least know that Alexander is gone, or the Alex we knew from the files is. He is at least not the same. The very face that comes in also has his eyes completely shut. In trying to suppress this traumatic experience, people went through a state of deep denial, losing their sense of identity through this positivity wave, which didn't work because everything still came through in their destructive behaviors. There were fires everywhere. They were also aided in suppressing these feelings by the mayor or the government in an allusion to censorship. Also, the idea of a library as a living, breathing thing is fascinating to me, as it seems to have been the heart of the town. Considering this was for a free knowledge gem, it adds to the context of the game, the fight against burned books and censorship. Reading is one of my favorite things to do, and without this connection to art, books, and the past, it seems that people in this game continue to lose the very things that made them, not only because of the lives lost, but because of the information gone, like the Library of Alexandria. It reminds me of that James Baldwin quote that reads, "You read something which you thought only happened to you, and you discover it happened 100 years ago to Dostoevsky." This is a very great liberation for the suffering, struggling person who always thinks that he is alone. This is why art is important. Without this relief, people imitated what they knew, the only thing they knew, without anyone to extensively document the past, which was the fire, something it seems all of them witnessed. With the influx of new people coming in, people who don't even know who died or what happened, the town kept going from a small town to a city in too fast a time. With Alex's change, or our change, there goes the last person who remembered. Those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. Another strange interpretation for this game, which I don't believe in, but it's interesting to explore, is that the ending note could mean that by finally embracing the trauma and grieving over the lives lost, that nothing has changed is supposed to be taken literally. The glitches could represent us going through a place in time that no longer exists, another dimension like Alex himself thought he was going back and forth through. Considering the dog's name is Cthulhu and this is all very Lovecraftian, it could literally be that he switched dimensions, saw an alternate version of his own town, an alienated, overly positive, strangely devoid of art and history town, and went insane in the process, finally allowing himself to be assimilated. Like I said, this game is seemingly straightforward, but with so many little pieces that it does make you feel like you're investigating something. Alex says that M is a figment of his imagination, but if the girl in the video trying on the dress is her, we know for a fact that she was real at some point, and that she left him. Did she die in the library? He said that she left shortly after. He also says he burned his notes and locked the folders, reflecting in a way what happened to the library itself, gatekeeping the information and being the only one with it. By not exposing it somewhere, he likely doomed himself, and the government got him in the end without much trouble, taking his eyes in the process. It could be that Alex did actually die in the library fire and that this is some sort of traumatic purgatory worst case scenario thing. It's cool to look at all these different interpretations and entertain even the quote-unquote bad ones because as the game said, the year was only reasonably documented, not thoroughly documented. I also like the fact that some of the footage is from the 50s, some from the 40s, plus the fact that we're using a desktop computer because it really adds to the lack of cohesion the game is trying to show. It's very anachronistic, nothing is stable at all, even the decades are intermingled, which, if you know how to spot, really leaves an eerie feeling with you that something is seriously wrong. The game audio is also perfect. The fact that it starts with no music at all makes you feel like it might be one of those indie games in which they couldn't afford to put music in, and then when it hits in March, it takes something that was slightly unsettling into something completely terrifying. It loops also without being annoying, and the first time I heard it, it actually scared the hell out of me, but I was like 16 then, so. Still, though its magic doesn't work on me anymore because I know too much, the game is deeply unsettling in a lot of ways, and I really grieve the fact that no one seems to know it because I think it does horror in such a minimalistic and perfect way without forcing itself too much. A lot of it is just psychological, which is why it stayed with me for such a long time. This game and Hornets by Kitty Horror Show are my Roman empire of obscure indie games. If I make a video about Twine in the future, I will talk about Hornets extensively, but for now, this is it. Also, the creator of this game, Gabriel Helfenstein, seems to have continued to create games and has been doing it pretty consistently over the years. He has some browser games that I played that are really good. One is about collective loneliness being relieved only by the internet, and it has a good message. And the second one is Better Experienced, and it will especially resonate with you if you're deeply lonely and you're afraid of being forgotten or forgetting in general. So, don't play it if you're feeling a bit down. Helfenstein also seems to be part of a collective of developers called Fantasia Malware, who seem to develop psychedelic avant-garde gaming experiences for live performances and also establishments like the National Gallery in the UK and the Royal Opera House Audience Labs. So, that's pretty cool. Anyway, there are no final considerations for this video other than play this game. It's a good game about forgetting and loneliness, which seems to be the theme in the developer's work, and about how art and remembering history is important to our identity. It's a fantastic game and I wish people played it more. Play Hornets by Kitty Horror Show as well while you're at it, cause why not? And I will see you on the next video. Bye!